In the previous module, we looked at how we can calculate the cost of preference shares by assuming that the future dividends constitute a perpetuity and rearranging the equation for the price of preference shares. In this module and the next, we'll look at the cost of ordinary shares. There are two methods to do that. In this module, we'll look at the dividend growth model. As is the case with preference shares, in order to calculate the price of an ordinary share, we need to make some sort of assumption about the future pattern of cash flows. The dividends from an ordinary share are typically assumed to grow at a constant rate. And like preference shares, they are valued on the basis that they will last forever. Based on these features of an ordinary share, the future dividends constitute a growing perpetuity. So once again, we can start with the value of a preference share based on the formula for a growing perpetuity. Div1, or next year's dividend, divided by R minus G. Note that we used the subscript P for preference shares, but we usually use the subscript E for equity to refer to ordinary shares, because if we used O for ordinary, that could easily be confused with P0, which often comes up in our formulas. So if we rearrange this equation to get the cost of ordinary shares by itself, we get this equation. The cost of equity, based on the constant dividend growth model, is next year's dividend divided by the current price of the ordinary shares plus the growth rate. As we saw in the topic on valuation of securities, sometimes we don't know next year's dividend. Sometimes the best information we have is the most recent dividend. If we have div0 and we want to know what div1 is, and we know that the dividend will grow at a constant rate g, then we can get div1 by multiplying div0 by 1 plus the growth rate.